right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. If I could get, if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Much better rehearsed than that. So much better. Ready to sing. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Well, I'd like to thank everybody back to Town Hall. It's been since March since we've all been gathered here, even in this limited fashion. Hopefully, things will slowly progress to normal now. Can I get an order of the bills?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve abstract number 11 dated June 12, 2020 in the amount of $422,873.22. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody like to do the budget transfer?
I'll handle it. Budget is requested to reallocate funds to the unemployment insurance accounts for the general fund and the Veterans Park District due to current claims. So we're moving money from employee benefits, hospital and medical insurance, $3,500, and employee benefits state retirement expense accounts, $220, to employee benefits unemployment insurance and employee benefits unemployment insurance expense accounts. I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request number 9 in the year 2020. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Cook, you're up.
Okay, first on the agenda is a request from the Highway Department to sell truck number 11 to the town of Pauling. There was an agreed upon price between the highway departments of $25,000. The truck similar to this was sold a couple of years back for $30,000, and we're getting a better deal than if we went through Auction International. So the sale is pending the town of Pauling, town board approval, and but we have a verbal confirmation from them, so says Russ Koff. So if there's no objection to the town Patterson selling this 2003 International Paystar truck to the town of Pauling, I will handle the resolution that we have in front of us. And basically, it says, and the resolution highlights everything that I just said, so I'll make a motion that the town board approve the resolution to sell 2003 International Paystar for the Highway Department to the town of Pauling, and enter the resolution into the record as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Next, we have again from the Highway Department, and I'll read some of this memo from Russ Koff. As part of the replacement policy, we purchase 2 new large dump plow trucks every 3 years. Our last 2 trucks, number 6 and 7, were ordered in June of 2017 and arrived in 2018. So we have a quote from Arkel, am I saying it right? Arkel Motors?
Yes.
For each truck is $208,491. These trucks have been planned for, and Highway has the money in their capital budget to cover this expense for next year. And they will not, there's no need for any bonding, which is good news. So if anybody with no objection, I will read the resolution covering this. resolution to purchase the two 2020 HV 507 SFA 4x4 trucks with Tenco bodies and plows for the highway department. And as per the resolution that's in front of us, and I'll make a motion that we approve this resolution and enter it into the record as read. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Sean?
Okay. Good news and bad news on my agenda tonight. Let's start with the good news. First is we have a request from a Miss Molly Aguilar of troop number 1344 Girl Scouts. She would like the town to allow her to pursue a project which will enable her to do her Gold Award for the coming year. She said she's interested in a project for the Veterans Park on Maple Avenue. She wants to do a fundraiser for the project, and it would involve providing an information board, like a kiosk at the front gate that would be used to provide trail maps and some information on some of the pond life or the ecosystem aspects of the park. She has already been in contact with our park board, and so this looks like another great project for the town of Patterson. Obviously, we're always willing to support these scout projects, and this will just be another great project for the community. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to approve the project for Molly with the caveat that it also obtain approval from the park board, the Veterans Park Board, prior to any start of construction. So I'll make that motion. So moved.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
The bad news, the second item, is a letter of resignation from Mr. Martin Miller, I always mess up his name, who is looking to resign from our ethics board. He has been on the boards as an inaugural member and as the recording secretary since the Patterson Ethics Board was founded on February 11th, 2013. Obviously, we would like to thank him for his years of dedicated service to the town. We have some big shoes to fill, and we'd like to, obviously, we don't need to do this by motion, but accept his resignation to the Ethics Board. So, secondly, we would like to request our town clerk to advertise for the position, because we do need to fill that position. So if anyone is interested in serving on the Ethics Board, please let the town know. You can send a resume or a letter of interest to the town supervisor. But Eileen, if you could advertise for that, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Motion to, do we need a motion for Eileen?
We usually
Yeah?
do.
Okay, motion to authorize town clerk to advertise for the position for the Ethics Board. So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Martin is going to be sorely missed. He was a wonderful individual and served this community well. He's served for many years, not only on the Ethics Board, but with the Patterson Library and with the Patterson Rotary. Great man, and had wonderful sense of style. We shared a common love for ties, and I'm actually wearing one of Martin's ties tonight.
Oh, that's fitting. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, first on my agenda is our telephone service for Town Hall and our other buildings. Currently, we are using Verizon. About a week ago, we received notice from Verizon. We were getting a 23% increase in our base rate, which kind of surprised us and took us back. So we have been scrambling, trying to deal with other carriers. The one that has come through best has been Comcast. While it's going to cost us a little bit more for Comcast, the features that they will be providing us with our new telephone service, if we go with Comcast, would very well serve everything we're doing here. Plus they're going to bundle it. Currently, we're using, because this goes back to when we negotiated the franchise agreement with RCN. We've got residential internet service here. They are going to upgrade it and bundle this with the phone service so that we will have a business class, which will certainly increase the speed of our network here and our internet ability. You all have a memo here from Patricia Brooks, our controller, who has done a lot of the work on evaluating whether this was a reasonable proposal and which way to go, and her recommendation. And with that, I'll throw it open for discussion.
I read through it, and I guess she recommends that we use Comcast for Town Hall, Justice, Rec, and Highway. So she's saying we're going to save over $3,000 in the first year. I mean, I think that's...
Would this be a
good
one-year,
savings.
Rich?
No, it would not. It would be continuous. It would be continuous. It would become our telephone provider. The only thing I would like to add in here is I would like to add in here sanitation, because we are going to need both telephone and internet service down at the sanitation department if we're going to start taking credit cards down there.
So you're saying Town Hall, Justice Court, Recreation Center, Highway, and Sanitation. And then the other phone lines are like wastewater treatment alarms?
The alarm system, the dial-out systems, the fire systems, for the wastewater treatment plant, the 3 water treatment plants, and the, now 7 pump stations.
And how come, why would they stay with?
We're trying to use the microphone a little more because
I'm
I'm not
sorry.
getting the best start.
Forgive my back.
That's fine.
So the difference is the call volume. And with the wastewater treatment plants, they're basically there for, dial-out service. There's not a lot of calls being placed on any of those lines. So for those lines, we're basically paying just the flat base rate, which when you take away the additional charges for long-distance calls, local calls, is minimal. So that's why we would stay with the utility services, staying with Verizon. But with the Comcast, it's a flat rate. It's going to be easier to budget. There's no long-distance charge. There's no local charge. It's one flat rate.
That makes sense then?
Yeah, is there, do you think that there's a possibility that with the, a business account that we can look into the email? Pulling in an email account with that?
So that we are using Comcast for email. We certainly can talk to them about it, sure.
That's good to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the town supervisor to enter into a contract with Comcast for providing phone service for the Town Hall, Justice Court, Recreation Center, Highway, and Sanitation Department, in accordance with the memo prepared by the Office of the Town Controller.
Second.
All in favor?
Hey, Rich, can I just add something real quick?
You may.
I just don't want people to get confused that this has anything to do with the Comcast cable provider and not being able to get Fios in this area, which we've been, as you brought up many times, you've looked into it, we've contacted them, just so people know, there's nothing to do with that. And no, we can't get Fios in this area. They're not looking to expand into this area. Just every 6 months, I think we have to mention that because
No, it's a good
comes up.
point. We have begged Verizon to bring Plows into the area. We cannot get them to accommodate our needs, so. All right, let's get this straight. All right, next on my agenda is a request by a resident in Putnam Lake who is looking to extend a town road over a portion which has never been constructed. We do have a memo here from the town engineer and his recommendation for appropriate road built standards. which includes downsizing the road to 18-foot wide, but maintaining the current base. The town engineer, myself, and the highway superintendent did go out and review the topography. We did take a look at the road. Does anybody have any discussion on this or thoughts?
No.
So you looked at the road and found it to be able to extend it with no problems?
We can extend it, well, not we, but we are going to ask the individual who's going to benefit from this to incur the cost to extend it. And extend it far enough so that they can get down into the flat, which is not going to be, it's going to be an expense for them, certainly. But it is achievable. The one thing the town engineer did not put in his memo, typically we have a maximum grade of a road of 10%. And that may be a little bit difficult for them to achieve in this. I'd like to vary that a little bit more to 12%. Our current standard for a driveway is 15% grade.
Would we have any issues? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, ma'am. I would assume that the owner's engineer would prepare a plan that Pioneer
Correct.
will review. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to have to do a site development plan, which accounts for the road. And then they're going to have to file for, stormwater treatment.
Great, okay, good. So, all with the goal of meeting the standard of the road being improved to the satisfaction of, I guess, the planning board at this point. Planning board or town board? I think the planning board typically approves roads as,
Well, in this case, yes, if it was a new subdivision, the planning board would, yes. Having problems with this chair, this table, and the microphone. So typically, it's going to be the planning board that's going to review the design of a new subdivision road with a subdivision pushing that.
application, right?
Yeah. In this case, there's no real subdivision. So the only real permits that they're going to need to pull are going to be an erosion control permit and a building permit.
Okay, so,
Because this is, the Putnam Lake subdivision, which was approved back in the 30s. It was not approved by the planning board, but it was approved by filing the plat. It defaults back to the town board, who sets the road design standards, right? So I would imagine at some point when that plan comes back in, we're going to have the town board review it and accept it, so that, we know what is being built is what we are approving. But ultimately, it's going to be the town planner approving the erosion control permit.
okay. Just want to make sure, certainly, that that plans will be prepared and approved. This isn't, I guess, for the board and the public, that this is the report from our engineer. It's preliminary in that the road has not been fully designed yet.
That's true. Sean, you've been on the planning board for many, many years. Would you agree?
I'm looking at the design, and I would say that the questions I have is just making sure that the design we come up with allows for additional build-out, which it looks like it does, and I'm interested in what alternative, they're looking at the alternative hammerhead turnaround. That's what's shown on the plan.
Right.
And as long as that meets with the ability for turning around plow vehicles, I think we need to allow, this is an old subdivision, it's, we need to allow and make accommodations for them to build out these lots, as long as it's done safely. I agree with the percentage on the slope. I was just looking at some of the slopes that they're crossing. They look like, I see what you're saying in them getting over the 10%, but I think as long as they plan it out and we have oversight from the town with the town supervisor and the highway supervisor, I don't think this is a big deal.
All right. Any other discussion?
I was just going to ask about it said that they're backing out of the road, so it looks like it's going to be a backup turnaround. Not a complete turnaround, but a backup turnaround. So there will be a backup maneuver, but it's better than backing out of the entire road.
Correct.
Right.
There'll
It's
be,
just a
there'll be an
three-point
area to
turn.
turn it
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve the amended design standards for the Newton Road extension as per the engineering memo prepared by our town engineer, Renia Engineering Design, and also to allow up to a 12% slope on the road. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, in my executive session, I will hold off till the end of the meeting.
Do we need to add no parking signs on that hammerhead turnaround, or is that later on in the process?
We will take care of that.
Because it becomes a great parking spot, and then it's not, and then it prevents people from,
No, it's a good point.
For access for emergency vehicles too, right?
yeah.
Oh, excellent point, Pete.
Yeah.
Wrote many tickets in places like that.
Mary?
Okay, the only item on my agenda is credit card policy. A few weeks ago, we discussed the credit card policy for the purpose of the use of credit cards issued to employees of the town of Patterson for conducting town business. These procedures were intended to accomplish the following: to enhance productivity, to ensure that procurement with credit cards is accomplished. So in that discussion, I brought up the question that if someone had misused the card, not only intentionally but accidentally, how we would reclaim the money that was wrongfully put on the credit card. And I inquired as to whether or not it could be deducted from their paycheck. So council responded to us saying that we cannot do this. There's Labor Law Article 6, Section 193, entitled Deductions from Wages, so that no employer shall make any deduction from the wages of employees except as specifically authorized by law. So in an effort to maintain the security and to avoid any erroneous purchases, we're going to I'm going to make a motion that we have only the supervisor and the town controller have use of these credit cards and not the employees. Does anyone have any questions on that? So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Peter?
Okay, first item on my agenda, Recreation Center request. A request here from Cassie Speller from the Recreation Department. I'll read her memo. I'd like to recommend the hiring of Subami Poli and Beth Howell as co-supervising guards for the 2020 season. Both guards have been with us for over 4 years and have proven themselves as reliable employees who will not only meet but exceed the expectations and requirements needed as a supervising guard, especially with the heightened restrictions and responsibilities thrust upon the town by the COVID pandemic this season. Both Sabami and Beth played essential roles in getting the beaches ready for inspection this season and have shown themselves to be leaders in our lifeguard staff. I'm requesting that both Beth and Subami be eligible to receive the supervising guard rate at $17.90 per hour plus mileage when they work the corresponding supervising guard shifts. Please consider this effective June 13th, 2020, the date that the beaches open. Beth and Subani would split the supervising guard responsibilities and hours as to not overlap their supervising guard shifts. Only one guard would be the supervising guard shift each day and receive the supervising guard pay. Having two alternative supervising guards would guarantee that we have a reliable senior guard roving the beaches and offering support to the lifeguards every day. So I'd like to make a motion to hire Subani Poli and Beth Howell as co-supervising guards for the 2020 season at the rate of $17.90 per hour, plus mileage if they have to travel from beach to beach. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think that's a great idea that they have two, so it's just not one person. If they're sick, they can't make it, or it's always two available. Next, I have a building department request from our clerk to the building department on June 8th. Our office received municipal search requests for both of the above addresses. The requesting agency contacted our office on June 4th, 2020, prior to our receipt of the searches, and asked for both searches to be canceled when they arrived in the mail. Both of the accompanying checks, however, were mistakenly processed and deposited upon receipt by our office. Requesting agency therefore requests that both fees be refunded $150 each for a total of $300, as the canceled request was made prior to our office conducting or receiving the requested searches. So I'd like to make a motion to refund the $300. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I
Okay.
have.
Any town board member at this time have any other business they wish to bring up?
I wanted to mention, oh, go ahead, somebody else spoke up. Or no, am I hearing things? Pete, last meeting you had brought up questioning whether we should place trash receptacles or, what do you call that dog?
The doggy bag.
PC dog bags. And I said I would speak to the folks over at the environmental park. So I spoke to Rick Saracelli, our current, I guess he's still our current
Actually,
caretaker.
he has resigned.
He was resigned, but it's effective July 1st, isn't it?
That's true.
So he's still our current caretaker, as well as Ed Neverkowski, who we approved to be the incoming caretaker. And they both thought that having the bags available might be a good idea, but absolutely not the trash barrels, because we're finding, we're promoting, and we've always promoted the environmental park to be a carry-in, carry-out facility. There have been some little issues over the last couple of months because the park has received a lot of use through this coronavirus pandemic, which is great. We want people to utilize our wonderful outdoor spaces. But I think we need to additionally remind people that this is a carry-in, carry-out facility. If we put trash barrels, I think we would have problems with our resident raccoons and bears. They would need to be picked up daily. We don't have the service to do that. So we can continue to pursue, based on conversation with them, if we wanted to provide the bags, how we would fund that. That would be part of that park's budget, possibly starting, say, even next year, since we're getting into budget season here pretty quickly. And we could do it on a trial basis and see. They said that they notice more than half the people walking dogs do pick up after them, but there are occasions when people walk dogs, and it's not just dog feces, it's people leaving garbage. Over the years, there have been issues where people have dumped garbage at the end of the road, and that's probably going to be worse if we put trash barrels there, because people unload their cars. They clean out their cars at the trash barrels. So I wanted to let you know that we did have those conversations.
Thanks. The funny thing is, I know we have this little thing, it even looks like a doggy bone, and it has a roll of little baggies.
Yeah.
And we put it right on the leash. I don't know why most people don't do that. It's a simple.
Yeah.
And there's trash cans in front of the rec center. There's trash cans in front of the train station.
I think it's a cultural thing that we need to promote, that we need to remind people that this is a great resource, and by not picking up after yourself, your animal, you're just hurting the enjoyment of the facility in the park. So.
And we have them. We have them around Putnam Lake, right?
We do.
Yeah. How do they work with the? Do they have them with the trash can, or?
Well, they have them at various locations. Some of them are very close to the trash can. I have not heard any complaints about them. I believe they work fairly well. So, we can
Might
work
be
on it.
something they could look into.
Easy enough. Okay, anybody else have any other
Thanks,
business?
Thank you.
Public recognition. We have one member of the public here tonight.
And I will speak from afar. Can you hear me? A little closer? Okay.
Turn the mic on. I would have leaned back, you can come right up.
I want to say it's great that the public can come back. I would hope that this board would have the clerk put something in the local paper saying that the meetings are now available, and maybe put something on the website so that I won't feel so lonely here. I think that would be helpful. And you may want to consider also, as you can see, there are a limited number of chairs, 7, that it might be wise that people call in advance so that you don't have a situation where there are 9 people looking to get in. Not necessarily here, but maybe a planning board meeting. I think that's a wise way to go.
So those procedures are all currently up on our website.
Oh, good.
You have to pre-register.
Okay, which I did.
Yep, you did. And you sign in downstairs, as you know, you did. And then if we find that we have more people than we can accommodate within this room, we've got a contingency plan for, stationing maybe some of the people elsewhere while some people are appearing before a board.
But I think it's also good to get into the paper. Let the people know that you're back alive and well and not on camera. And then one last thing. I'm here to really commend Sean. We're talking about the environmental part. I will say one thing. Generally, people who go in with bags clean up after the dogs. Generally, people who go in without the bags don't clean up after their dogs, whether their bags there or not.
You're probably right.
I hope no one's putting the dog poop in the waste receptacles right outside the rec center, because they're right up against the building. If they get broken open, there's going to be smell. I think people should take their dog waste home. I don't think our town employees at the rec center should be pooper scoopers. But that's just a thought. But I want to commend Sean. For those of you who haven't been down there, he's now extended it. There's now a lovely boardwalk. The views are fabulous. And I hope members of the public will start, who haven't been there yet, get down there and take a look. Sean's also told me that they're probably going to need some more funding to bump it out. This is a good time for the public to get down there, take a look, and maybe some members of the public will kick in money and help out. So I just want to thank Sean for the great job he's doing.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. Obviously, it goes without saying that there are a lot of volunteers involved. I'd certainly like to, as we've always mentioned, Rick Saraselli, Ed Napierkowski, my brother, Bob Rogan, and his children, who I voluntold, but no, they've been gracious to help out. And we also have a commitment from Frogs, from Friends of the Great Swamp, that they are going to kick off a fundraising campaign for Phase 3 of the boardwalk. So we look forward to, gathering some support and moving forward towards completion of this project. But it was nice to see you down there the other day, you and your wife. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I do have a couple of emails that I received from the public. They're both related to Putnam Lake. I will try to address some of the concerns. I am not going to address all of the concerns, and I've sent the one email. I will be sending the other email over to the Park Advisory Board to also try to address some of the issues that are raised in these 2 emails. They both really pertain to the condition of the lake this year. For those of you who have not seen it, the weed growth seems to have expanded quite a bit, much to everybody's chagrin, because we had put the carp in the lake 2 years ago, hoping to better manage the weed growth. That seems to not be the case. The first question is, why aren't we dredging Putnam Lake? Well, we are still evaluating what the best means of getting that done is. I can tell you, prior to the COVID-19, I was having conversations with 2 different individuals who do hydro dredging and how we might apply that with Putnam Lake. Once the COVID-19 pandemic is over and we can safely meet, and I can meet with them to get out to the lake, or at least, in another 6 weeks or so, I intend to pick that back up and start pursuing that and see what we can do about maybe getting a hydro dredger for the lake. One of the other questions was why we don't hire a weed harvesting company as they did in the past. I don't ever recall there being a weed harvester on Putnam Lake, but I do know at present we are looking to see what we can do about harvesting some of the weeds. And as far as the grant for New York State to deal with the algae problems, the state had made some promises for funding to help out with the algae problems, and that turned out to be fictitious, and the funding was never there in the first place. I also received a question about the budget. Is the budget currently on the town website? It is, as well as all the prior budgets. It can be found at https://pattersonny.org/townboard.pht budgets.
Or you can go to the Patterson website and click on departments, town board, and then budgets.
Yes. They also question why the grass carp are not, being effective in the lake. I don't know. I've had some conversations with some of the park board members about why they're not being effective and whether they're in the lake and in a healthy condition. And I suggested that we need to strategize on how we can determine the condition of the carp and the quantity of carp in the lake without actually hiring somebody to go, count them. Perhaps a contest where we have residents in Putnam Lake out in their boats who spot a carp, they email it in so we know how many they've seen and where they're located.
When we put the carp in the lake, obviously, we probably wouldn't see results in the first year, maybe even a couple of years, I would assume. So did we have any idea when we would start seeing it, or was it just kind of like...
Generally, the carps, when we put them in, they're only about 10 inches in size, and the rule of thumb is you've got to wait a couple of years before you start to see a noticeable drop in the weeds. Well, we put them in May of 2018. It's been a couple of years, and the weed growth is probably a little bit more than it normally is on Putnam Lake for this time of the year. We attribute that to the warm weather, which encouraged the weeds to start growing earlier on in the season. I think one of the problems we've had also in Putnam Lake is that we had a very big bloom of green algae this year already, which covered the macrophyte weeds, and it made the lake look much, much worse. We treated the lake 2 days ago, actually I think 3 days ago now, and the green algae is now brown and starting to break up. So hopefully when that goes away, the lake will look a little bit better, but we definitely have a weed problem out in the lake. So, and that is it for me. With that, I will take a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.